Right now, the narrative that is being set is that the system is inherently racist, white privilege, yada yada yada, and when cops see any young black man, they go into Lloyd Christmas mode. To the point where places like Black Lives Matter, leftist websites, even MTV News are pushing this idea that innocent black men are being shot for no reason at all. Now, the purpose of this video is not to justify nor condemn any of the deaths that occurred during these police-civilian interactions, but to provide you with the context that MTV News and Vox and HuffPo refuses to. Clearly, Alton Sterling wasn't shot for selling CDs. He was shot because someone called in a report that he was threatening a homeless man with a gun. He was tased first and he continued to resist arrest, and he had a firearm on him, which I'm guessing was illegal because this guy had a rap sheet a mile long, including being a registered sex offender and having done time in prison for violent crimes. This wasn't a routine pat down. This was an altercation with a longtime felon who didn't want to go back to the slammer. Is it unfortunate? Yes. Was he arrested and shot for selling CDs? No. Okay, Michael Brown was not shot for stolen cigarillos. What happened at that convenience store was a robbery, not shoplifting. There was use of violent force. He was identified as a suspect in that robbery. He reached for an officer's gun. But hands up, don't shoot! His hands weren't up. He was punching a cop in the face and reaching for his gun. When that happens, sometimes officers are trained to shoot. Are there several points where this didn't have to escalate? Of course, but the idea that a racist cop picked off some gentle giant Michael Brown is entirely inaccurate, as the rest of these examples. No, he wasn't killed for walking around with a knife at all. He was a gang member, a currently active gang member. They found him after a report from a stabbing victim at large, still holding the knife. He continued to hold the knife and refused to put down the knife, even after being pepper sprayed and shot with a beanbag gun. And then he started walking toward the cops with the knife, as you can see in this video. So yes, they put 20 rounds in him. A lot of people don't know this. Knives are incredibly dangerous, much more dangerous than guns at distances less than 21 feet. We'll have the references up at louderwithcrowder.com. People get hurt all the time. Officers get maimed all the time by knives. So in this situation, the officers have a decision to make. Eliminate the threat, who is a currently active gang member who may or may not have stabbed someone else, who refuses to drop the knife and is coming toward you, or risk serious bodily harm by an active knife wielder in an attempt to be more politically correct. Instead, they opted to eliminate the threat so they could go home to their families. What choice would you make? See previous example. Kathryn Johnston. Here's one that I agree with. Isn't that great that we can create a video that's actually truthful to encourage a dialogue of honest discussion? To the best of my knowledge, according to my research and Not Gay Jared's research, the cops were acting unbelievably outside of the law. They may have planted evidence. It seems like there was some shady stuff going on with falsified reports, but here's the beauty. The cops went to prison, as they should. Would it have been better that a 92-year-old didn't get killed in a botched drug raid? Of course, but the cops are in prison. Eric Garner, go back to my previous podcasts. I always maintained that the cops were unnecessarily rough with Eric Garner. But he was resisting arrests. He was big. They didn't kill him. The guy had a heart attack because he was so overweight. Still, the cop should be prosecuted. That cop that was raking his face into the sidewalk, I have a problem with him. That's an abuse of authority. Can we find some common ground, or do you still have to lie about everyone else? India Beaty holding a fake gun. That's not what happened. It was 1:20 a.m. It was dark. Cops were investigating an unrelated case. They saw her getting into an argument with an unarmed person, and she threatened him with the gun. She then refused to comply with police officers and was shot as a result. Unfortunate, yes. An example of clear-cut racism? No, of course not. Well, nude and erratic is a very vague term, but the cop was black here, so yeah. Trayvon Martin for wearing a hoodie. Oh, thank you, Geraldo Rivera, for your misspeak, making this a meme for all time. No, he wasn't killed for wearing a hoodie. George Zimmerman, I've said it. He's a jackass, not a fan. He should have stood down. He didn't have to follow this kid. But when that situation escalates to the point where the kid is bashing your head into the concrete, here's the deal. Whenever you assault somebody that violently, you're forfeiting your right to live. People don't like to hear that, but here's the deal. If someone holds me at knife point or gun point or assaults me in the street or sucker punches me, you don't know what the intent is of that person. You don't know if they're simply trying to impress their friends or if it's some form of gang initiation or if they're a crazy person dead set on killing you. You don't know if they want your watch or they want your life. The second you escalate it to a point that is violent enough that could kill somebody. Whether it's your intent or not, you forfeit your right to live. And that's what happened here. Tragic, yes, but this is not out of the ordinary. Again, the point of this video is not to justify all of the killings, nor is it to condemn all of the killings. I think if we're being honest, I've been fair and pretty reasonable. If you don't think so, let me know below. The point is that when it's Black Lives Matter, or MTV News, or HuffPo, or whatever the organization is that day, when they put out there this idea that cops in record numbers are simply killing black people because of a level of melanin in their skin for benign activities and no reason at all, what does that do? Well, it makes it okay to vilify cops. It makes it okay to dehumanize cops. And it makes it okay to treat them subhumanely. Because think about this for a second. If you genuinely believe, as many of the cop killers out there right now do, that officers are killing people for simple things like selling CDs, for going to a birthday party, well, of course you could justify it as your duty to kill police officers. And people have. My point is that if you are not honest, if you are simply using a false narrative to try and generate clicks, you then allow somebody to aim their latest outrage cannon at whoever subject you deem to be suitable. In this case, lately, unfortunately, it's been a lot of innocent police officers. Right before the Dallas shootings, if you watch this channel, I said, hey, if it gets to the point where it's more controversial to say wait for the facts than it is to demand the public lynching of officers, we have a problem. That video was released right before the Dallas shootings. I am telling you this right now. If we do not start having an honest conversation about what is going on, you are going to create an atmosphere that you can't take back and you will regret. That's the only purpose to this video.